time for war. On August 2nd, 1990, Saddam Hussein, who was president and dictator of Iraq, unexpectedly, and to the surprise of the whole world, ordered his forces, and he had the 5th largest army in the world at the time, to roll in and take over the country of Kuwait. He rolled in there, no way they could match him in power, so the government of Kuwait fled into Saudi Arabia with thousands of the citizens. A lot of people stayed. They were brutal. They came in immediately and did some terrible things to the people and stealing the national treasure. Now, Kuwait is an oil-rich country, and Saudi Arabia is right next door. That's where people fled into Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia at the time was the biggest oil producer in the world. So immediately the world economy went into a turmoil because oil was driving the world. And so here comes Saddam taking over Kuwait. We didn't know if he was going to roll right into Saudi Arabia. So that caused everybody to go crazy. While this was happening, I was watching it live in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, with the Army Intelligence Center at Fort Huachuca. I was a 97 Bravo, which is a counterintelligence special agent. I was assigned to the 513th Military Intelligence Brigade at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. My area of responsibility was Southwest Asia. Southwest Asia, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia was ground zero for where I studied what I was supposed to do. That happened on August 2nd. On August the 6th, I flew into Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The next day, on August 7th, I flew up to Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, which was forward area closer to Kuwait, where a lot of the Kuwaiti government people were showing up and going into the hotels and stuff. We were a quick reaction force. If Saddam would have rolled on into Saudi Arabia, we couldn't stop all his tanks and everything at that moment. But by having our U.S. forces inside the country, we knew that if he went into Saudi Arabia, he would have killed U.S. soldiers. There have been U.S. casualties, which would have ratcheted and changed everything completely. So we got there and we started digging in. At the same time, our State Department went into high gear. They did a professional job at the United Nations. Because the atrocities going on, the fact of taking over a sovereign country, the whole world was united against it. So while they were doing their political thing, we were starting to build up inside Saudi Arabia. We brought in forces, because he waited, we brought in forces to make a called Desert Shield, Operation Desert Shield, which would stop any advancement into Saudi Arabia. The United Nations and the resolutions that they brought around was resolution, 678, and that called for the immediate withdrawal of all of his forces from Kuwait. We didn't think he'd do it, but anyway, the world got together. 39 countries signed on. 29 countries sent military to Saudi Arabia to join our forces, including Syria, which had been an enemy of ours forever. So the whole world was galvanized against this. Well, this gave us time to get enough troops inside, and we had 500,000 troops inside, or in the area, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army. And we became Operation Desert Shield, became Operation Desert Storm, which means that we were going to go get him out of Kuwait. We gave him until January 17th to do this. He did not do it. The war began. The air war began. For 5 weeks, we bombed his troops in Kuwait and in Iraq, softening up the targets. And then after 5 weeks, what we did was we sent in the ground war. The ground war was so successful that in 100 hours, he gave up. 100 hours, we defeated the 5th largest army in the world. Gave up and had an immediate ceasefire with unconditional surrender. When that happened, January 17th, when we went in at 2 o'clock in the morning, we immediately took control of the air, which was a major thing, because his air power wasn't very good. So we expelled them and got them out of Kuwait. The reason why all this worked so well is because the world was together, united by this. That was a huge thing, getting the world together and having one cause. Another was the chain of command. The first president, George Bush, the old George H.W. Bush, he was a World War II pilot, and so he knew what the military was about. The Saint, the commander in Iraq, was General Schwarzkopf. We have his picture there. He was the four-star general. When I wasn't doing other stuff over there, I was with him when he was in the northern area. I would be driving his chase car with his bodyguards, Delta Force guys. So I was around him quite a bit. He was imposing, but everybody had faith in him. We had the right chain of command. We had the right mission to go in and get it done and get out. And that's what was important. We all knew the only way home was through Kuwait. And then when we got home 3 months later, we had a ticker tape parade in New York City. And so I think other people thought this was a time for war. Thank you.